Hello everyone, my name's Qcode and welcome back to our Löve Tutorialy thingy. This is episode 6 I think, and we're going to be going over Löve callback functions. And this is where we start getting into cool game design stuff. So, just going to open up this, I have some stuff left over, going to delete that and save it. So I have a list here of Löve callback functions. These aren't all of them, I have a full list here. These are all the different ones you can use. But we're not going to be getting into all of them in this episode. I'm just going to be using a couple of specific ones which I think are the most useful. So first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy paste this little bit of code in here and save it. That's something you use for Sublime Text too, and it just gives you live console output instead of having it when the window closed down like we did last time. That link again will be in the description. The way you use the callback function is you simply write a function with the name one of these, any one of these, and the engine will call it when the certain circumstance arrives. For example, the first one, love.load. So you just write function love.load, add parentheses, and end. The function love.load is called once and only once, and the game is first booted up like this. See if we put in here print game booted. You can see it prints as soon as the window is loaded. You can write them outside of this function, but this is just a bit of a cleaner place to put it. Second up is love.draw. So I'll write that in. Function love.draw. Love.draw is most commonly used with the love.graphics module, which I've opened up in the wiki here. Here they have all types of functions you can do to affect the graphics and the drawing state. Note that the love.draw function is called every single frame, so you generally don't want to be creating objects, mainly just drawing things and changing the graphic state. So for a quick example of love.draw, I'm going to use this function that I have here, love.graphics.print. As it says, draws text on the screen. If no font is set, one will be created and set if needed. So we'll open that up, and as you can see it's got all these confusing variables. As you can see, beside each of the variables beyond y, they have a parentheses next to them. If they have a parentheses next to them on the wiki, that means that they have a default and don't need to be set unless you're changing something. So you can see here this is orientation in case you want to rotate, scale the text, and offset the text. But we're just going to be using the simplest format, which is text, x and y, and then ending of the parentheses. So, inside of our love.draw function, we write love.graphics.print, as it says text here, argument as a string, so we put in words in quotes, or you can simply add a variable which equals a string. I'm just going to be writing words in quotes because we don't need a variable just as of yet. So, the text, I'm going to write hello world, and for x and y I'm just going to put 0 and 0. If we build and run, you can see it says there in the top left, hello world, on screen. It's amazing. You can draw all types of shapes on the screen like rectangle, quad, triangle, arc, circle. You can draw objects on the screen with love.graphics.draw, which is things like images all the way to quads, pixel effects and particle systems. Love's graphic system is surprisingly powerful, but I'm going to go into all of that in later episodes. All you need to know is it's called every single frame, and you can draw things in it by calling the functions that are already provided to you by the Löve framework. Next up is love.update. The love.update function has an argument which is dt, that stands for delta time. As we can see on the wiki here, which will be again linked in the description, dt is provided as the time since the last update in seconds. Love.update is mainly used for the math in the game. This will be used for updating your AI, moving your units, checking if keys are held down, other such things that you want to be checking for every single frame. Delta time is useful for the pacing of things. Say you want an enemy to move 10 pixels a frame. If a game is running 60 frames per second, that enemy is going to be moving faster than if the game is running 30 frames per second. To eliminate this inconsistency, we multiply all of our speed units by dt, that way they work by seconds instead of by frame. If I write in here, print updating, you can see that absolutely spams the console. You can see just how many frames ran in that 3.4 seconds. quite a few. Next up is the love.keyPressed function. I can't exactly remember the arguments for this, so I'm just going to go on the wiki real quick. You can go into documentation love, and then it says here callbacks, key pressed, callback function triggered when a key is pressed. And so you get key or is repeat. I'm just going to be using key. So if we put in the arguments key, the love framework will call this function once for every key that is pressed. If we write in here print key, you can see A, S, D, F, G, H. You can see they're not, however, spamming the console. That's because we're using the love.keyPressed function and not the love.keyboard functions in love.update. Those are two completely separate things which I'll be getting to in later episodes, as you can see. And last up that I want to cover in this episode is love.mousePressed. As you can see, it gives us the X, the Y, and the button that is pushed. So I'm going to use all of those arguments, X, Y, button, end, and I'll just write that, print X, Y, button. As you can see, 228, 278, L, and these are all the different coordinates on the page. This can be used for creating GUI, calculating whether the X and Y is inside of a certain button you've created, etc, etc. Thank you everyone for watching. I understand that this episode may have been slightly confusing. This is how a regular main.lua file is set up in most Love games, however. Trust me, it'll get more simple as we go on in the tutorials. Thank you everyone for watching. Next episode I'll be showing you how to load and draw an image onto the screen with Love and Lua. See you all next time.